All right. Hello, everybody. Eric here with a request from people. Uh, I have a bunch of trashy books. That might not be the best description. I can't decide what I want to read for the next few weeks. I want to read sort of paperbacks from hell, 80s, although some of these are later than that. Horror through October, starting very soon, starting in September. And I just have too many choices. So I'm going to go over a little stack of books here. And I want you to go in the comments and pick however many you want uh, that you would like me to read and eventually, of course, review. I think that's basically it. This is a spur of the moment thing. Just decided to do this because I've been trying to decide what to read next. So I'm just going to go over these books, probably read the back cover copy on most of them. This is all in no particular order. This is all stuff, mostly stuff that I've picked up recently, whether at half price books or online. I found a great uh, used book shop on Etsy where I've gotten some really wonderful things. But let's jump in and I'll go over all these books and then you can decide. I'm giving it a week from now for you to vote in the comments on what you want me to read. We'll see how this works. Let's start off with Vampiric by Simon Clark. This is from Leisure Books, and this is probably one of the most recent. 2002 is when this was published, so not old stuff, but looks like it could have been from back in the day. It says, Leppington is a small town, quiet and unassuming, yet beneath its streets terrifying creatures stir. Driven by an ancient need, united in their burning hunger, they share an unending craving. They are vampires. Spoilers. They lurk in the dark, in tunnels and sewers, but they come out to feed. For untold years, they have remained hidden, seen only by their unfortunate victims. Now the truth of their vile existence is about to be revealed. But will anyone believe it? And is it already too late? I don't really think I've read Simon Clark before. Maybe some short stories. I can't say. But this, I like the cover. And I figured it was time to give Simon Clark a try. Let's set that aside. The next one, this wasn't on purpose, but apparently we have a theme. This is Dracula's Guest by Bram Stoker from Zebra Fiction. And this says, let's see, what's the best part to read? The ultimate in horror from the blood-curdling imagination that created Dracula is here for the first time in paperback. Plus, an unpublished werewolf episode from the novel Dracula, which was found among Stoker's papers and added to this volume by his widow. So this is a short story collection, actually. There are, well, 9 stories in here, one of them being Dracula's Guest. That's the first one. And there's a publisher's note from, I guess, his widow about finding these stories. But something I found at Half Price Books. And I'm a fan of Dracula. Thought it would be something interesting to check out. We have an author we're going to see, I think, a few times on here, at least a couple of times. Nope, I see 3. This is Neighborhood Watch by Andrew Niederman. Andrew Niederman has written a lot of stuff under his own name, but he's also written 100 or so V.C. Andrews books. Of course, Flowers in the Attic. Everybody knows Flowers in the Attic by V.C. Andrews. But V.C. Andrews only wrote, I think, 7 books before she passed away. And everything else that's ever come out under the name V.C. Andrews is Andrew Niederman. Not 100% sure about that. There may be some other people mixed in there, but Andrew Niederman's written a ton of them. But this is one of his books, Neighborhood Watch. Welcome to Emerald Lake, where the security is to die for. From best-selling author Andrew Niederman comes a chilling tale, blah, blah, blah. Don't care about that part. Dr. Teddy Morris and his wife, Kristen, are on the verge of having everything they want. Their beautiful daughter is already 5, and they expect their second child in a few months. All they need now is a bigger house. Emerald Lake is a paradise on earth, a gated community built around a glimmering lake in upstate New York. The houses are equally gorgeous, individually designed by the community's founder, Philip Slater. As president of the Homeowners Association, Slater is the watchdog of Emerald Lake, and he makes sure that each resident does their part to keep the neighborhood beautiful. But something isn't quite right at Emerald Lake, something beyond the strict rules and super security. The Morrises begin to ask unwelcome questions, like what happened to the previous owners of their house? What secret does the Homeowners Association protect? And how far will it go to protect it? Teddy and Kristen Morris get only one disturbing answer. Enemies of the neighborhood are likely to be found dead wrong. That's Neighborhood Watch by Andrew Niederman from Pocket Star. That's what that says. Then we have one that I got from eBay. This is Buried Screams by C. Dean Anderson from Zebra. And this one says, well, now, it came from below. Stone Ridge was a peaceful, almost boring little dot on the Kansas prairie until the night a bottomless shaft mysteriously appeared in the town cemetery, and one by one, something below began scaring the people of Stone Ridge to death. It came from below and knew just how to scare them. Carl, Beth, and Eric with a K. Someone finally got it right. Carl, Beth, and Eric were well acquainted with fear. For years, they'd been plagued with painful scars from their childhood, terrible secrets that had long been buried. But something below wanted these three in its legion, and one thing it knew was how to unearth buried terror. Thrown into their worst nightmares, Carl, Beth, and Eric had no choice but to endure the horror unless they found the way out of the darkest pit they'd ever known. One of my favorite authors, Judith Sonnet, mentioned this on Facebook. So I looked it up on eBay, and I think I put it on my watch list and then got a notification that it was discounted. So I snapped it right up. Buried Screams, C. Dean Anderson. Next up, this one I got from that Etsy shop. It's got tape on it, but that's fine. You get what you get. Excuse me. This is Fear, by Ronald Kelly. And this is a zebra. Love having these old books. It's got a bunch of stamps in it. 1994. Where are the children? It was a legend in Fear County, a hideous flesh-eating creature that feasted on the blood of innocent children in the cold black heart of the Tennessee backwoods. But 10-year-old Jeb Sweeney knows the horrible stories are true. His best friend Mandy just up and disappeared. He also knows that no one has ever had the courage to go after the monster and put an end to its raging bestial hunger. Until now. But evil is well guarded, and for young Jeb Sweeney, about to enter the lair of the unknown, the unknown passage through gates of hell comes with a terrible price. Everlasting fear. I've read a ton of Ronald Kelly short stories. He's got like a Christmas horror collection that I read for Christmas and some Halloween horror collections that I've read for Halloween. Don't know that I've ever read one of his full-length novels. So there you go. Fear, Ronald Kelly. Excuse me. Now we have Andrew Niederman again, and this is Duplicates from Berkeley. They say we all, each and every one of us, have a double somewhere, someplace. But Marion Boxletter is convinced that the man she saw in New York City is no double. He is her brother, Brian, the same Brian who disappeared along with her son, Joey, over a year ago. The man denies it. Marion has no proof. No one will believe her. No one will help her. So So the desperate mother undertakes her own investigation and uncovers a bizarre experiment that echoes the worst fears in every human soul: duplicates. Don't know what else to say about that. I've already talked about Andrew Niederman. I generally enjoy his stuff. So there's another one from him. Let's do these, I suppose. This is a pair. So I'm going to read both. If these get voted for, maybe no one's going to vote. I don't know. But if I read these, I'm going to read them together. I got one of them from the Etsy shop, not knowing that it was a sequel. So then I went to Amazon and found a copy of the first book, which is Beastmaker by James V. Smith Jr. Look at that beautiful cover. This is from Dell Horror. Let's see how old this is. 1988. There we go. Science has opened the door to the forbidden, and beyond it lies terror. Project Michigan, a top secret government experiment in genetic mutation, has gone wrong. Monstrously wrong. Now a trail of violently mutilated corpses litter the West Texas countryside, a trail that began on a night of bloodlust that left only one living witness, Captain Mark Payne. Framed for murder, the ex-Nam chopper pilot must prove his innocence and his sanity, even if it takes a court-martial to do it. But Payne doesn't know that he and his beautiful flight partner are already marked for death, the target of a powerful and secret cabal. Now Payne is both hunter and hunted in a vicious struggle to determine the fittest, and it will take every trick in the book to survive the beast, both human and inhuman. So that's Beastmaker. And then we have Beast Stalker, another wonderful cover. This one from 88 as well. All right. So I ordered this book from Etsy simply based on the cover. Hadn't read the back of it, didn't know anything about it. And then I read the first line on the back cover and said, "Oh crap, this is a sequel, isn't it?" The nightmare isn't over. Not yet. The thing is loose. It feasts on the living, the heart of a child, the liver of a man. It hides in the dark woods outside the Indiana Army base. Its putrid smell gives away its presence, but no one can stop its razor-sharp nails from ripping flesh for food and pleasure. Vietnam vet Major Grayson Kirk has seen it. He is running for his life, not from the loathsome deadly creature, but from the powerful organization that will murder to keep the thing's existence secret. Now the world is doomed unless Kirk can help. For the beast craves blood, it needs human flesh, and it lives for only one thing. For one thing only, to kill. So that's Beast Stalker. Love those covers. All right. Excuse me. Then we have Prey by William W. Johnstone. It says a novel of suspense. And William W. Johnstone has written a bunch of horror, tons and tons of westerns. Probably best known for his westerns. He also writes thrillers or action novels. And he's a lot of this, he died quite some time ago, so a lot of his stuff is ghost written, and it's all seems to be very conservative, but it's very trashy and fun. So this one, I think, has horror elements of some sort. This is what it says: legend, outcast, free man. The natural enemy of every free man is its own government. Yeah, that seems to be a theme with William W. Johnstone. He has gone by many names during his long life: heretic, rebel, ransom. Today he is called Cantrell, a beleaguered man of awesome strength and extraordinary power. He is the last bastion of rugged individualism in a world where justice and liberty can no longer protect men like him. And the natural enemy of every government is a free man. After centuries See, centuries spent fighting the forces of evil and oppression, he has come to this small town in Arkansas to live in peace. But peace is nowhere to be found. Violent hate crimes tear the land apart. An ancient enemy from his distant past pits brother against brother, and the future of the free world rests with him, the lone wolf who can never be truly free now that he's become the hunted once more. So obviously there's some sort of supernatural element to it if he's centuries old and there's, an evil has come, an ancient enemy from his distant past. So that's why I picked this up and why it's on this list of things I might read. Then we have an author whose name I never know how to pronounce. This is Bedbugs by Rick Hautala. I don't know. This is from Leisure Books. It's a short story collection. From the subway tunnels of Boston to the rain-swept streets of Quebec City to the deepest snow-filled forest of Hilton, Maine, no one in these chilling stories by horror master Rick H. is safe from the darkness or the dangerous things that lurk in the shadows, waiting for us, reaching for us. Over the years, Rick H's stories and novels have terrified and captivated millions of readers around the world. Bedbugs is a career-spanning collection of stories that whisks you away on a guided tour of the darkest reaches of the human mind and soul. A tour that could only be conducted by someone with Rick H's ability to make your blood run cold. I dig that cover. And again, I maybe have read some short stories from this author, maybe even some that are in here. I don't know that I've read any of his novels. But I've heard of some that I definitely would like to pick up. But so short story collection, Bedbugs. Then we have Crywolf by Alan B. Chronister. Dig that cover. Zebra, of course. And this one's from 87. And on the inside, it's got, before you even get to the copyright page, a terrifying occult trilogy by William W. Johnstone. So some of his horror. I've actually read the first one of these three, and I have the others. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Crywolf. Lycanthropy, noun, the process by which a human being takes on the form of a wolf. Larkspur, Pennsylvania could have been a town in a children's book or a Chamber of Commerce pamphlet. For Rudy Varden and Evelyn Sangelis, two former yuppies, it was the perfect antidote to New York City. Here in their rustic new home, Evelyn would write her kids' books and Rudy would illustrate them, and they would live happily ever after. But something dark and hideous crept through the woods of Larkspur, something that watched from the shadows by day and peered in their windows by night, and howled by the light of the full moon. For Rudy and Evelyn had built their dreams on a house of straw, and when the big bad wolf came calling, it would do a lot worse than blow their house down. Crywolf. I wonder if there's a kid that's going to turn into a wolf. A lot of these old covers had very little to do with what was actually in the book. But that's why I love them. That's why I love them so much. Crywolf. Alan B. Chronister, or however you say that name. And this is the last of the Andrew Niederman that I have on this pile. This is Lovechild. Death rides every kiss. I don't know what that means. Carol is a modern Jekyll and Hyde, ruled not by chemicals, but by her genes. Half human, half Amazon, she is a predatory hunter, needing men only for psychic nourishment. She is also a gentle, caring teenager ready for her first love. When she finds that love, the two sides of her nature are trapped in deadly conflict. Each embrace, each kiss, threatens to unleash the killer in her blood and turn happiness into damnation. Interesting. So that's supposed to be an Amazon behind her? I don't know. Perhaps I'll find out in the coming weeks if people vote for that book, Lovechild, Andrew Niederman. Here's one I've had for a while. I've read one book by this author. His most well-known book, I would say. I hear people pronounce his name different ways. I'm going with, my own choice. This is Cat Magic by Whitley Strieber, author of Communion. That's the book I would think most people are going to know him for. I actually met him and got an autographed copy of Communion. I no longer have it, but that's, I think, the one thing I've read by him. I believe he wrote Wolfen. So Communion's been made into a movie. Wolfen also made into a movie. But this is the only book by him that I have at the moment. First of all, this is from the author's foreword. It's on the back of the book. I wrote Cat Magic in 1984, well before I was consciously aware of the visitors who figure in Communion. Communion is the story of how it felt to have personal contact with the visitors. The mysterious small beings that figure prominently in Cat Magic seem to be an unconscious rendering of them, created before I was aware that they may be real. So, if there's anybody that doesn't know, Communion is the, I don't even know if it's considered fictional, autobiographical story of Whitley Strieber, who claims that he has been visited / abducted by aliens. Anyway, here's now the description of Cat Magic. Some people in Maywell, New Jersey commute to New York. Some are working on a lab project that will change the world, if it is allowed to succeed. And some people are witches. Amanda Walker is not a witch, yet. She's an artist looking for work, unaware that someone has a desperate need for her, a dark plan that may require Amanda to enter death itself, if she is allowed to live long enough to make the choice. Amanda's tale is far stranger than she knows. It is ancient beyond memory. In times of great change, it must be relived, in all its fear and hope, its wisdom and its passion. One of those times is now. A tale of modern witchcraft. Cool cover. This is from Tor Horror, and written in, or copyright anyway, 1986. It's Cat Magic by Whitley Strieber. All right, we have 5 more to go. This one I've had for quite a while. So a lot of these from Half Price Books, and a lot of these, as I said, from Etsy, and a couple from eBay. I think this one was a find at Half Price Books. This is Dark Seeker by K.W. Jeter. Another wild cover. It's another Tor horror book with a copyright of 1987. The Host. It was the drug that gave the students a shared consciousness, a consciousness of filth and inhumanity, of horrifying excitement. It, I'm saying it like that because both letters are capitalized. It was the evil vision that led them to murder. It lurks Mike Taylor, kept at bay through medication. It is the soul-consuming reality he must confront, for it requires Mike Tyler, his soul, his heart, his mind. Once it has Mike Tyler, it will come for you. Dark Seeker. K.W. Jeter has written some stuff in intellectual property stuff. He's written a lot of horror, science fiction. I'm trying to remember the intellectual properties he's worked in, but it's not coming to mind. I feel like he's written some Star Wars stuff. He might have written the Bounty Hunter trilogy back in the day, stuff that's legends now. But anyway, this is what I have from K.W. Jeter. Dig that cover. Craziness. Dark Seeker, take K.W. Jeter. All right. Ooh, we got a nice die-cut cover here. This is an author I've read and way back in the day. And I really, like the first book I read by him, which was his first novel, really enjoyed it until the end. I'd like to reread it, see what I think of it now. I maybe have read a couple other things by him. But I really need to read more. I recently at Half Price Books found one of his newer books from Flame Tree Press. I know he's a big influence on Mary Sangiovanni. This is The Influence by Ramsey Campbell, another Tor horror. Look at that. And so there's that, and then we open it up to the nice inside flap. And this is from 88. From beyond the grave, an old woman reaches out to steal the body and soul of an innocent child. Rowan's great aunt Queenie is dead, or is she? Queenie didn't want to die, and she will do anything to live again. She haunts the child's nightmares, tugging at her soul, pulling her into a cold, empty darkness. Children have tremendous will to live. Is Rowan's strong enough to defeat her aunt's terrible power? So The Influence by Ramsey Campbell. Really, really love that cover. Man, covers back in the day were so fantastic. Why don't we see these die cut covers anymore? I don't know. But there you go. All right. This one has a hole in the cover, but it's not a die cut. It's just a little hole punch. A couple of years ago, I read a book by this author. Wow, another Tor horror. Read another book by this author during October when I was reading trashy novels. So this one was on the Etsy shop, and then I just recently ordered another one on Amazon because I thought this might be a sequel to the other one, but I don't think they're actually connected. They both have moon in the title. This is Silent Moon by William Relling Jr. Savior or Destroyer. Dr. Peter Michael Taylor came out of nowhere to create San Francisco's most successful ministry. His homeless shelters and job training programs are getting people off the streets. TV reporter Gillian, or Gillian, depending on how you want to pronounce it, Gillian Woodbury's investigation reveals little of Taylor's mysterious background, but ties him to the presidential campaign of Senator Grant, who is himself being investigated by newspaperman Bud Friendly. What a terrible name. Taylor and Grant aren't just dealing in dirty politics. They are the leaders of a black magic cult bent on returning the old gods to Earth. The nosy reporters are getting too close to the truth. They must be the chief sacrifices at the next demonic ritual. That sounds wild. Did I look up the copyright on this one? 1990. But again, it's another Tor horror, Silent Moon by William Relling Jr. The book I read by him was Brujo, Brujo. I'm used to Bruja. Brujo, which I really enjoyed simply because a lot of killer animals in that one. So there you go. And then another one that I got from Etsy. This is a leisure book. And we're back to, was it the very first one that I talked about? Same author. This is The Tower by Simon Clark. And this one has a copyright of 2005. So this, I believe, we'll see. We got one more book. Might be the most recent. But Simon Clark, The Tower. The tower stands in solitude. What began as a 17th century manor house has grown over the centuries into something very different, something evil. There are the stark walls, the shadow-filled rooms, the lonely corridors. But the tower is haunted by much more than ghosts of the past, and it can do far more than simply terrify. It has a dark heart, and it has grown restless. When 5 unsuspecting young people agree to stay there as house sitters, they soon learn that visitors are not welcome in the tower. There you go. Simon Clark, Leisure Books. I have to answer. Someone has commented in the chat. Why will it not let me chat? Well, Steve, why would I want to write in the chat anyway? Steve, the Beast books are at the top of my list, and Werewolf one, just based on that cover. But yeah, the Beast Maker and Beast Stalker are my top choices. I don't know how long ago you commented. I haven't been paying attention. I don't know if I can even get rid of these notifications that are coming up that tell me to learn more. But who knows? All right, this is the last one. This is Jove Horror. Let's look at the copyright. 1996. So that last one, definitely the most recent. This is Kindred by John Gideon. Years ago, Lewis Kindred came face to face with absolute evil. He saw it in the eyes of trained killers, smelled it in the wake of spilled blood. Then he challenged it in a game of chance, and won the darkest gift of all, immortality. John Gideon, the acclaimed author of Greeley's Cove and Golden Eyes, presents an epic masterwork of terror, an eternal battle of darkness and light waged within every human soul. It is the story of Lewis Kindred, a soldier who returned from Vietnam a different man. Cursed by the loss of his legs, but blessed with unearthly new powers, he is driven by a strange, unspeakable hunger. And he is not alone. A stranger in a world of mortals, he feels the presence of others like himself, others who hunt, others who kill. But there's one difference between Kindred and his kin. Kindred will not surrender his last shred of humanity. So, a vampire story, a new breed of vampire, a masterwork of terror. It's Kindred by John Gideon. Another one I believe I picked up from the Etsy shop. And that's it. Those are the books that you have to choose from. This video will be up forever, but I'm only going to count the votes that come in over the next week. You can comment forever. So I didn't even count how many books that was. It looks like 18. 18 books to choose from. Whatever gets picked, I will read as many of them as I can until the end of October. The reviews will be going up probably through November. By that point, I will review each one as I read it. Hopefully none of these are so horrible that I can't get through them, but I'm not going to force myself. I learned a long time ago not to waste my time with something I don't like. But hopefully, again, these are all entertaining, trashy, and fun. So, yeah, that is it. If you have any comments or questions, put those in the comments below. Please vote, pick, as I said, just pick the one or up to 5 or 10. Pick as many as you want. Put them in the order you're most interested in voting for, most interested in me reading them. Let me know if you have any of these, if you've read any, if you are interested in reading any. I did leave out, I have a lot more of this kind of stuff, but I left out things like Bentley Little, because I've got a lot of old Bentley Little and new. And I left out a few because I couldn't remember if I actually read them yet or not. Pretty sure I did, the ones that I left out. I left out things like I have all of the Omen books, the 5 or 6 Omen books. I left those out. I have a bunch of Amityville horror books. I left those out. I have all 3 Psycho books by Robert Bloch and a bunch of his other stuff. But because I just, spoilers for regular viewers of my channel, just read and recorded my review for Psycho, and I plan on reading Psycho 2 and then Psycho 3 before I dive into any of his other stuff. I didn't want to put those on here. Richard Matheson, I've actually just got some beautiful copies of old Richard Matheson stuff, but saving that for a special time. So these are the 18 you have to choose from. Dracula's Guest is the one that seems the most out of place. And then maybe the 2 Simon Clarks, because those are the most recent. But I still think they all fit in there. Anyway, all of that being said, just jump into the comments. Let's chat. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is at Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. And on Blue Sky, I'm at EL Smith. That is it for this spur of the moment live video. And but you know, it's going to be around. It's a random Sunday. Everyone have a good weekend, and let's all celebrate Halloween. And until next time, I forgot my sign off. Until next time, read more books.